Right now, Bitcoin's pumping towards the upside, and we also have Ethereum is absolutely pumping towards the upside right now. And you can see that we have a lot of liquidity laying above us for Bitcoin and also for Ethereum. So we need to be going through all the relevant scenarios and all the relevant data pieces I have prepared for you guys, since we're right now actually pumping. So we need to be going through everything, and I'll be going through Ethereum too. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight away in towards this banger. Bow. So looking at Bitcoin on that shorter time frame, you can see that we've perfectly bounced from this 21-week exponential moving average like we covered on yesterday's video, and we're bouncing from this massive level of support right now. So is this the bottom for Bitcoin? Are we just going to be pumping in towards new all-time highs, or is this going to be a massive trap? Well, I'm just going to be covering this, looking at all the relevant levels. But first of all, we can see that we're obviously bouncing from this massive level of support, and we have some EMA support also. So this is indicating that this is a massive support level, and Bitcoin is responding in the right fashion. We're moving towards the upside, which is a good sign to be seeing, but we need to be delving into the lower time frames to be determining if the market structure is still bearish, or have we actually shifted anything in the lower time frames. So looking at this chart over here, we can see we're perfectly reclaiming the mid-range, which is looking good for Bitcoin, and we're breaking out from this falling wedge pattern, which is a bullish bias pattern, and the measured move is taking it from the previous move and using it as a flagpole, and we're going to be using it to project it from the point of the breakout right now. And you can see that would line up at 128k, so that's going to be at new all-time highs right now. So that's looking very, very good for Bitcoin. But we can see that we've been having lower highs over here, and we've been creating lower lows, and at the minute we're about to challenge a potential new higher high here. So if we can actually break above 112,700 over here, then that would actually confirm a higher high. So we need to be seeing closing candles above there, and maybe we come in for a higher low, but that would indicate that the market structure is changing and we can start to tackle our highs. So right now it's looking bullish for Bitcoin, but if we zoom in maybe on a 4-hourly time frame, you can see that we've had a lower high over here, and this is a lower low. So we need to be creating a higher high before we actually start to shift the market structure, and maybe we're going for a higher low before we return to higher prices. But at the minute we need to be breaking above this 113k level over here to be actually putting in bullish market structure over there. But looking at the liquidation heat maps, we can see that the majority of liquidity actually resides above us on a 3-day time frame. So it's likely that Bitcoin actually moves in towards this level, and this is going to be a massive test to see if we can hold, or it's just going to be a liquidity grab to the top side and then we revert down. We need to be assessing that in more detail. But looking at this bullish flag Bitcoin's actually creating right now, I doubt that will be the case. If we actually start to move a lot higher right now, it's likely we break out of this bullish flag and we start to move towards the upside again. You can see that previously we had a bullish flag, and then we had a substantial move towards the upside, and now we're creating another one where it's likely we repeat the same thing and we get a substantial move towards the upside. Also, we have a CME gap at 117k, so this is a massive gap where Bitcoin tends to revert 90% of the time, and actually it tends to fill the gap. If you've been watching the channel, you would know this. So this is a massive level to be watching. You can see that the gap was actually formed in the 22nd of August over there, so it's likely that we come and fill it eventually now. And there's been, quite some time since that CME gap that we created, so typically it tends to get filled quite quickly, but at the minute that's not been the case. We had an attempt earlier and it didn't fully fill the gap, but at the minute it's looking likely that on this attempt we can actually move in towards 117k, and that may be the fuel to continue to push Bitcoin to tackle its all-time highs. Furthermore, looking at the seasonality for Bitcoin, you can see that every time we come in towards September, we tend to bottom and we tend to actually find a massive move towards the upside, especially when we have a negative August. So this is another reason why I'm actually very bullish on Bitcoin right now. We've had a bad August already, so it's likely that we actually continue towards the upside. A lot of people actually look at the post-halving years and say, okay, in 2017 we had a negative August of 7.44%, and in 2021 we had a negative August of 7.03%, but they're not noticing that August was massively bullish for both of these years, and this year in 2025 we had a negative August at 6.49%. So it's likely that September is actually massively bullish, just like 2023 and 2024, where we had prior red Augusts, but the following month, September, was actually massively bullish. So if you're enjoying the video and you want to be trading for yourself, make sure to check that first link down below for Bit2Next. Bit2Next is a non-KYC exchange that's global, so you can be trading from anywhere in the world. without having to do KYC, and they've also partnered with my community over here, offering you guys a massive 20% bonus on your deposit. So make sure to be checking that first link down below, because you can see if you deposit $2,000, you'll be getting a massive $400 in bonus over there. So I will not be fading this. You can see this campaign is only going to be lasting until the 19th of September, so time is running out. I think that this is a massive opportunity to be getting some free money to be trading with. That's the first link down below for BitTuneX if you're going to be trading Bitcoin and altcoins yourself. Now looking at Ethereum, we can see the same thing. We have a lot of liquidity actually piling up above us as opposed to below us over here. So you can see that there's a lot of liquidity piling up in and around that $4,500 mark. So I'm not going to be getting bearish on Ethereum. We can see from yesterday's video, we talked about reclaiming that $4,300 level, and once we reclaim this key level over here, then it's likely we actually pump towards the upside, and that's the exact same thing that we're seeing on the Ethereum price right now. We've broken from this downsloping trend line, and we're actually pumping towards the upside now. So we've broken out from this massive falling wedge pattern that we talked about on yesterday's video, and we said it has a bullish bias and it's likely to break towards the upside, and that's the exact same thing we're seeing right now. So I'm massively bullish on Ethereum, and I think that we're actually going to be pumping a lot more higher since Ethereum is actually breaking out from this falling wedge pattern. So I think that if we can actually break above this high over here, that will actually indicate again that we're having some bullish market structure. So you can see we had a high over here, we had a lower high, another lower high. You can see that we're creating lower lows. So we need to actually create a higher low first to actually shift the structure to bullish. Then maybe we can create a higher low over here, and then that's where we can actually start to move towards the upside. For that longer term, we can see that we tested our all-time highs already, and we marginally put in a new all-time high. So it's likely that if we continue to hover just below our all-time highs here, we can actually start to see Ethereum push towards the upside. We can see that last cycle, that was the case where we had a massive move towards the upside without any meaningful higher lows. So again, it probably isn't likely that we come all the way down to our 2000s again or our early 3000s. It's likely we maybe consolidate within this region here before we continue towards the upside again. So this is a massive region where I think it's still cheap for Ethereum, since I'm seeing Ethereum massively above this $4,000 level. You can see last cycle we had a V-shaped recovery, and this cycle we had the exact same thing, and right now we're in a period where Ethereum tends to consolidate before moving towards the upside. So I'm not bearish on Ethereum here. I'm thinking long term that we're going to be moving towards the upside. So this is going to be a massive level to actually be accumulating as opposed to actually selling your Ethereum. We can see that we have bullish signals on Ethereum. There's a lot of whales that are actually accumulating right now, and you can see that large investors in this chart over here are accumulating whilst retail panics and sells. There's a lot of people actually trying to unstake their Ethereum at the minute and sell, and clearly by this chart you can see that it is retail as opposed to large investors. So right now Ethereum is cheap in my opinion, looking at the technicals, also looking at what the large investors are doing. So I will not be getting bearish long term. I think that it's still going to be moving towards the upside, so I'm not going to be getting bearish. But yeah, that'll be it for me. Make sure to be following me on X to be staying up to date with all my updates over here. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace, guys. See ya. Bye-bye.